Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. A new airline service sees major growth potential in Billings and announces today a deal it believes Montanans will take up.
It all happened at the Billings Logan International Airport, where the airline and community unveiled a new low-cost service many are calling a mile-high win-win.
You may remember Frontier Airlines serviced Billings in the past. However, this time around, Frontier says it's here to stay.
And now the airline is touting its ultra-low-cost nonstop service to Denver to serve Montanans for leisure and business. Frontier says fares will start as low as $39 each way, and flights will begin on May 30th. The airline will offer 3 nonstop flights a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Frontier says it is seeing a new kind of growth out of the Billings market. Not to mention the company is now operated differently and under new ownership.
So I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. Typically we are more of a what's called a VFR, visiting friends and relatives airline, as well as leisure airline. But that is still a huge business benefit when it enhances and grows tourism to the area and the region, helps hotels, helps restaurants, and that overall helps the economy as a whole.
You can log on, start booking now, but again, the new service will not actually take flight until the end of May.
Currently, United operates 4 nonstop flights daily between Denver and Billings. Frontier also offers service in and out of Bozeman and Missoula.
Does First Interstate Arena have a nice ring to it? Well, that name one step closer to a permanent place on the side of MetroPark's largest venue. This morning, Yellowstone County Commissioners tentatively accepted the recommendation to rename MetroPark Arena. The commissioners now have 30 days while negotiations between a MetroPark committee and First Interstate take place. Then a final agreement, including final price and terms, will be presented back to the county commissioners. Rimrock Auto decided to not renew its contract with MetroPark this coming May of 2019, along with First Interstate. Initials bid of $875,000 for 5 years. Ultra Graphics lost out with a 10-year, more than $1 million proposal to claim the name.
U.S. Senator Jon Tester was in Helena Tuesday to address the Montana legislature. He also spoke with MTN News about the prospects of reopening the federal government shutdown or not. MTN's Mike Dennison has more.
Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester and his GOP counterpart, Steve Daines, started the day Tuesday in Helena at a 4-H student seminar. But by Tuesday afternoon, Senator Tester was at the state capitol, where he talked both local and national politics. In an interview with MTN News, Tester said GOP leaders in the Senate should allow another vote on the bill that passed last year to keep the government open while negotiations on border wall funding continue.
Look, the government could be open tomorrow if the bills we passed at the end of last year would be brought to the floor. They would pass, and I think they'd pass with a large enough margin that would override a veto if the president decided to veto them.
He also noted that the U.S. Senate has approved border wall funding, but that President Trump keeps asking for more.
Unfortunately, when the $1.6 billion came out, which was his request, then he came back and said, no, we want $5 billion. And then he said, I want $5.7 billion. So that's what I mean about the goalposts continue to move.
Tester also delivered his biennial address to the Montana House and zeroed in on perhaps the biggest issue before state lawmakers, Medicaid expansion. The Republican-controlled legislature will decide whether to extend Montana's Medicaid expansion program, which funds health coverage for 95,000 low-income adults. Tester urged lawmakers to keep the program and told of a Butte man who said Medicaid allowed him to get care to control his diabetes and mental health problems.
And he said, and then, for the first time in my adult life, I've been able to get a job and hold a job and support my family. That's what I mean when we talk about people instead of politics.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Tester said he's returning to Washington Wednesday for a scheduled vote on the latest budget and border security proposal from President Trump.
Senator Steve Daines also in Helena today talking with teens at a 4-H citizenship seminar. Now, during his remarks, Daines briefly commented on the government shutdown, saying, quote, I happen to be back in Montana today. Hopefully, I will be flying back Thursday to have a vote to start moving forward here to stop the nonsense of this shutdown, end quote. Now, Daines previously stated he agrees with President Trump that there is a crisis at the southern border and has had his pay withheld until the government reopens.
Prominent Fox News anchor Bret Baier was on the anchor desk this afternoon after being involved in a rollover crash in Bozeman yesterday.
It happened after he and his family spent the weekend skiing at the Yellowstone Club. Q2 Samantha Sullivan's following the story for us and is standing by now with more details on what happened. Sammy.
Well, Russ and Jeanelle, it's a good reminder of just how slick things can get out on Montana's roads. I spoke with Highway Patrol Trooper Alexander Velasquez. He responded to that crash yesterday. He says the weather played a huge role. Bret Baier, along with his wife and 2 sons, were on their way to the airport when they slid through an intersection and were hit by a pickup truck, forcing them into a ditch. The car ended up landing on its driver's side. Baier and his family were transported to the hospital with minor injuries. Baier getting emotional as he addressed the incident on his show earlier this evening.
As we were released from the hospital, I tweeted this. Don't take anything for granted. Every day is a blessing. Family is everything. It's always good to remind yourself of that before something does it for you. Count your blessings. And I meant it.
They're also taking some time to thank Montana law enforcement, first responders, and a couple of helpful passerbys who helped his family following the accident. Russ and Jeanelle.
All right. Thank you, Sammy.
Turning to weather, Bob, we're still digging out from round 1, but round 2 of snow is headed this way, whether we are ready or not.
It is knocking on the door right now. Let me show you what's happening out there. We go to our Doppler radar, and as you can see, we just had a few cloudy skies in the Billings area in the last hour. Get a little hole in the clouds later this evening, and then look what's coming in from the west. Over by Missoula, some scattered snow showers already starting to move in there. And so here's what our high-resolution forecast model shows. The next system moving into western Montana tomorrow. I think by the time 5:30 in the morning, Wednesday morning, look for snow moving into the Billings area. Look at all the snow across the rest of the west. And then we keep that snow throughout the afternoon. Then by probably 9 o'clock, the whole thing starts to fade away. But look at this. We still have all of this. A number of watches and warnings, winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. The winter storm warning, 10 to 15 inches of snow for the Beartooth. Back here in the Billings area, probably more like 2 to 4 inches of snow expected. And also look for some very slick roads again. We'll have the rest of your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
With our recent half-foot of snow and another incoming storm, clearing our driveways and mailboxes is a necessary task. But for some in our community, doing those things can be difficult, if not impossible.
So we're going to head out to Rob Griggs with more information on how you can help those in need this season. Rob.
Well, we're standing out by the remnants of yesterday's snowstorm with Nicole Cromwell with Code Enforcement here in Billings. Snow Buddies is a program that allows people to volunteer to do some snow removal for people who need the help within their neighborhood. Is that right?
That's right. We started this about 7 years ago in 2011 when we had an enormous amount of snow, and we just had lots and lots of people who were not able to get rid of the snow on their public sidewalk the way they should be able to. So we had people who said, I can help out. So we said, hey, let's put these 2 people together. Let's make it happen.
Well, that's a nice idea because everybody's looking for ways to pay it forward. And if there's somebody in their neighborhood where they can help out, probably the big question is, how can someone volunteer to be a snow buddy? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is to call our number 237-6146 Monday through Friday, or even at night if you're thinking about it. Leave us a message. We'll call you back, figure out where you're best deployed in our great town and city of Billings to help someone who needs you.
And my guess is that we have seniors, we have shut-ins, and people that just simply can't lift, especially this heavy wet snow that we've been seeing.
Oh, yes. Even myself. I was pushing my son-in-law out there yesterday. Come on, let's get it cleaned up, okay?
All right. Give us that phone number one more time, Nicole.
237-6146.
All right. Let's round up some more snow buddies and make this a friendlier, neighborly place. Back to you.
Well, in addition to helping out those in need with shoveling, you want to make sure and check on your neighbors during these cold spells and make sure they have heat and food.
Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, a program to make medical prices more black and white has patients seeing red as it creates more confusion and hurt to their pocketbooks.
And in sports, a pencil to the eye almost cost Q2's Athlete of the Week her basketball career. Scott shows us how she's finding her game again.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.